Hi, if you've watched my other videos, you know that I read physical books and ebooks. And you might have seen my video talking about my experience with Kindles and Kobos and what my favourite e-reader is. That in terms of what I've actually tried and what actually exists. But in this video I wanted to talk about what my ideal e-reader would be like. What would the perfect e-reader be like that doesn't already exist? But maybe one day, if you work for an e-reader company or you're just a technical genius watching this, this is what you can build to make me happy and let me read in the way that I would most enjoy. So I'm going to talk about a few ways that e-readers could be brought closer to the perfect e-reading experience. So one thing that I expect will come to the e-reading sector at some point is something that's already slowly but surely gaining traction in the mobile phone world, which is folding screens. I think there have been some prototypes of folding screen e-readers, but I want this to go further and be perfected. So ideally I want a sort of 7.5 screen, but you can fold it out and it becomes double that. Then you can either just read it on one side, like you do normally with a normal 7-inch e-reader, or you can open it up and have it landscape with one page on each side, or portrait with just your page, just one page at a time, but with bigger text, and you can see the images more clearly if there are any. That would just be really nice and flexible. And then if you do have it closed, then the other screen on the back, you could even have it displaying the cover of the book. So if you're a commuter and you and the person who always sits opposite you on the train always read, and you always get nosy and look at what book they're reading, which everyone knows is fun to do if you like to spot what people are reading on the train. Now they can see what you're reading too. Or maybe you can set a different image and then impress them with the cover of what you want them to think you're reading when actually you're reading something else. So I feel like that would just open up the potential for so many different reading experiences. Maybe you could, opening up, having one page would be better for textbooks, for example. And then you could just open it partly open and you could hold it like you hold a normal paperback book, like this. How cool would that be if you could hold an e-reader like that? And this perfect ideal e-reader of my dreams would be quite light. So you could have the Brothers Karamazov, but it would be as easy as holding this 150 odd page book. It should have a lovely display that looks just like looking at a page, even with colour options. So if you like reading comics or you've just got a book with colour illustrations, you can access those. Or if you just like a regular black and white book, it looks just like a regular black and white book in real life. Absolutely zero glare on the screen. It should have a backlight, which you should be able to put right down low. One of the issues I have with the existing e-readers I've used, including my current Libra H2O Kobo, is that the lowest brightness setting, 1%, isn't low enough. So when I'm reading and it's pitch black and my partner is in the bedroom as well and she's trying to sleep, it's still quite bright. I think it's quite disturbing for someone else in the room. So I'd like to be able to reduce that even more and turn it off completely. I know some of the Kindles, you can turn it down to the lowest setting, but there's no off setting. Whereas one of the great things about a book is that it takes you away from all the screens that are blasting artificial light into your eyes. So it's important to me that you can turn the light all the way down, even lower than the current ones go, and off. So you can just be reading with natural light like you would with a paper book. It should be so easy to get any book you want on there. Whether you're browsing on there, you should be able to add accounts for all sorts of bookshops. So you should be able to link your Kobo account on there, even though it's not Kobo. And it should be linked to Project Gutenberg and all the other repositories of public domain books. So when you search, it'll search all of those in one go, show you the best prices. If there is a free edition available, offer you that. If it's at one of your libraries that you're a member of, offer you the possibility to borrow it. It should be so simple. And if you're buying ebooks or you've got ebooks from somewhere else on your computer, that should be so easy to put across. Maybe you can email it to yourself, you can add it to Dropbox or Google Drive, any of those services, it will just work. You can maybe send it by Bluetooth from your phone. That would be awesome. Speaking of Bluetooth, it should be USB-C. None of this easily breakable micro USB stuff that we can leave in the past. It should be enabled with wired or wireless charging. As I said, it should have Bluetooth. You should be able to attach your headphones if you want and listen to audiobooks on there. In fact, it will have a headphone port so you can connect by Bluetooth headphones or the wired ones if you prefer. Okay, and here's a big one that would make a real big difference. It should be fully user repairable and upgradable. So the screen itself can be repaired or upgraded. The battery can be taken out and replaced. The buttons can be replaced if they go soft or funny. Every single component of it, if something goes wrong, you don't have to throw it away and get a whole new e-reader. You can just get that part fixed, or with a bit of YouTube guidance or something, fix it yourself for only the cost of the part itself. That's better for the environment. You don't have to keep getting the latest thing and putting that in the landfill. It's cheaper, it's better for the consumer. In fact, the hardware design could be released open source even, so that someone with all the components could put it together and it would be perfectly functional. With the software being open source as well, that would mean that this system, if whoever was producing it and making it goes out of business, or they just stop manufacturing it, if someone really loves it, they can still make their own. And if there's somewhere that it's difficult to distribute it to, people in those places can make their own. And as maybe technology develops and things change slightly, experts will be able to tweak your design and make a slightly better version. They can upgrade the software to do things that you didn't anticipate or that you didn't even know about at the time that you made the original one. Maybe there's some new technology or new ebook formats or whatever. So if it's open source hardware, everything is replaceable and fixable. Open source software, people who like it different ways. If you haven't built in the setting, that's okay. If they've got the skill, they can go in and fix it. Or if they've got a friend, they can get them to go in and fix it. Or if they've got the money, they can pay someone to go in and change it and really customize it to be exactly how they want it. So I guess that's it. It's mainly about giving the user the choice, the flexibility, ease of use, ergonomic, should be really comfortable to use. You should be able to use it exactly how you want. You should be able to get your books, your ebooks from wherever you want, and for that to be really simple and straightforward and just reduce the friction that goes between thinking, I fancy reading this book, and you're actually reading this book. And without any sort of physical constraints that make it difficult to read it, you can just get immersed and enjoy it. And the final thing that I think would help convert a lot of people to e-readers, when you talk to people who have never given an e-reader a chance, but they just say they prefer a physical book, what's one thing that a lot of them say? They like the smell of a book. They love the smell of an old book. So it should smell like a real book. Maybe it'll come with a little spray of book air freshener, and if the smell wears off, you just give it a little spray, and then while you're reading, you can go, and you just feel like you're reading that old book. So let me know, what would your perfect e-reader look like? What is your perfect e-reader that already exists? If you haven't seen my video talking about my experience with Kindles and Kobos, go and check that out. If you want more content about books, reading, the publishing industry, avoiding whether we use Amazon, then subscribe and check out my other videos. And thank you for watching.